Okay, now that the technicals are sorted out, I will begin. All right, well, thank you everybody for coming out. My name is Walter Yamazaki. I'm your guest speaker here today. As we say guest, I guess I'm coming here every month, so I'm no longer guest, maybe. But it's certainly, I am grateful that all of you decided to show up on a Sunday morning. I know it's difficult to work around your plans on the weekend. So I do appreciate you joining me today on this series of Spiritual Foundations for Human Happiness. Today's topic is about tackling the unhappy syndrome. And this is based on the book, just on the surface, like this is the book that Master has released. It's called The Unhappiness Syndrome, 28 Habits of Unhappy People. And he basically hits head on about our tendencies of, why we tend to be unhappy. And since I only have such a short time today, I'm only going to graze the surface of this topic, but hopefully we will include some self-reflective exercises. And we'll go into a discussion period. People online, I do apologize. Discussion period is always difficult online, but we'll probably take a few moments to sort of, assess what we've discovered. Maybe we can have, if you're open to it, have a discussion online, and then afterwards we will, conclude. Okay, so great. So let me see here. So there's if you all know, there's this World Happiness Report. I put a question mark because I'm not quite sure. I haven't really looked deep into it, but I thought this was an interesting statistic. It was a study that was brought up by Oxford University of Oxford, and Gallup Inc. Gallup is a company that is basically works on statistics. And oops, hold on a second. I'm not seeing the whole picture here. I apologize because every time we do this, we run into technical issues. Oh, yikes. Okay, so Tyler, I'm unable to see my notes when I press this. How do I see? No, put it up. Okay, I'm sorry. Thank you. All right. So the World Happiness Report. So so Gallup Inc. is an analytics and advisory company based in Washington, D.C. And it's an important statistic. I know it's very tiny. USA is ranked 23rd here. And this is based on the 2024 ranked. And it's really interesting, we're trying to figure out what ranks these countries. And basically the report tracks trends in the well-being rather than the causes. So there's a lot of things that we don't know. But one of the editors of the report told NBC News that there are a lot of factors, but it includes, the economy between generations in the US, but there's also some subjective outlook in how they see the government, how they see the world, how they see life. And this is interesting because depending on person's perception on how they view life, their sense of happiness differs. And as powerful as we are as the US, we aren't ranked in the top 10 or 20. We actually fell over the years. But the thing is, what I wanted to say is the fundamental difference between what this report is based off of and Happy Science's principles of happiness is that there's two things. There's what we can generally receive, so there's limited and data-oriented, versus what we can achieve through human potential. And Happy Science really focuses on what we can achieve through human potential. It's all about our spiritual growth, what we can achieve. We call this enlightenment. Here in the US, we call it progress, right? How we can improve ourselves. And this is really about our self-improvement. And that is unlimited and is not really tangible. It's intangible. So that's why it's very difficult to quantify. But I think, as we all know, it's ironic, but what is unquantifiable is what is most valuable for us being human, isn't it? Right? So, datas and, the tangibles don't really paint the entire picture. If you remember, our beloved John F. Kennedy, he said once that ask not what your country can do for you, ask what you can do for your country. Now, there are various perspectives of course, these days, but the reason why this really resonates really well is because what he is saying is that happiness is not about what you can get, right? And what you can receive or what you can take. The principles of happiness is found in what you can offer to the world, the intrinsic value that you can create through the power you have as a child of God. So this is coming from the principle and understanding that we are children of God or children of Buddha. So from these pure and honest intentions, wealth and prosperity tends to gravitate towards you in your life. So as we are practicing these principles, then we will begin to live a happier and successful life. Then and only then will you achieve happiness, right? So we do not put the cart before the horse. Just because we're not getting something doesn't mean that we are unhappy. It's more like we cannot confuse the branches from the trunk from the branches. So it's really about what is the starting point of our life, right? What are our life's values based on? And here we want to find our true worth as children of Buddha, or children of God, right? So the infinite light and the value you have as a child of God, or what we say Hotoke no Ko in Japanese, which is child of Buddha, has the ability to create not only material value, but true value to other people that multiplies and magnifies God's light in this world. That is what creates prosperity and happiness in life. Tyler, I'm sorry, this camera tends to go into a sleep mode. So I apologize for that. So, as we all know, there is a backwards value system in this physical world. And the question is really about what defines your value, right? And as individuals. And most people believe that their value is defined by other people, right? How your parents valued you during your childhood, or the evaluation by those who we seek validation from. Yeah. Oh, I'm sorry. Check. Audio check. Can you hear me now? Yes? Check. Audio? Can you hear me now? Okay. Sorry about that. So the evaluations from our teachers, for example, coaches, mentors, supervisors, colleagues, friends and family, your children, right? Your happiness seems to waver as it depends upon the eyes of others. Now, we talked about this before in our previous sessions. But to enforce this physical value or personal worth based on others' assessments, it's risky. Basically, our happiness is not solid. It's not on these solid spiritual foundations. What happens is that, we put importance on our title, our profession, social and economic status. Some people suffer from what level of education they have or mistakes they made in life, company bankruptcies. It could be bad decisions that negatively affected their families, criminal records, So yes, such decisions result in suffering, but that does not determine your worth for eternity. So what matters is what you are going to do with it, right? So this is where Master is saying about life is in invincible thinking. Life is a perpetual opportunity for us to grow and learn. So what we must never forget is what we teach here at Happy Science is that your true worth is not dictated by outside labels, right? Your true worth is who you are as a child of God, a fragment of this infinite light that we split from what we believe is called El Cantare. So this is the foundation of everything. Your worth will be evaluated by what kind of value you can create as a child of God. Okay, so as such, values are intangible things. Eventually, when you truly create true value in this world, people will begin to follow you, respect you. Also, prosperity will begin to follow you, right? And gravitate towards you. So this is what I mean by don't put the cart before the horse. Make sure we understand that when we do the right thing, when we put true value, which is spiritual value, when you shine that light as a child of God, which is intangible, right? When we are able to grow and progress, people become attracted to that. When you hear stories, inspirational stories out there that has nothing to do with religion or happy science, we get also inspired by these stories. If you all watch the Summer Olympics, for example, there are some documentaries of certain stories that tell the story behind these athletes, what they had to go through in order to make it to that point. Or when a person wins a medal, there was a story of this weightlifter, this female weightlifter from the Philippines, who failed so many times over the course of the Olympics. After 12 years, she was able to win the gold medal. I think that was from Tokyo Olympics. But it's amazing, like these stories. And why is it so inspirational? Why does it move us when we hear those stories? And that is because the person demonstrated resilience, right? They represented this effort, not just a lukewarm type of effort, but this constant effort that lasted 12 years. That's incredible. And that's where we begin to feel or experience this, the power of that God's light emitting from that person. So that's what we mean by really focusing on what is truly value. So the light that you produce in this world creates value in this world. That's what it is, right? So what is this unique light that El Cantare, or God, can project through you? So that is the question. What do you have that is unique, that only you have, that you can project into this world to create this unique value? You know, in Happy Science, we have this main prayer book called the True Words Spoken by Buddha. And in there, they talk about, Master has channeled through the consciousness of the eternal Buddha. And he mentions about all these 7 colors, the rainbows. And basically what it means is that there's this like pure golden light from God. And through the prism, it divides into these different light. It basically represents different colors, different characteristics of this light. And we are pretty much like that. We are all different, aren't we, in character and our strengths and weaknesses. But that really represents the variety of this light, the spectrum. And so the question is, we are all doing our unique part, right? But only you can create value from your beautiful uniqueness that you have in this lifetime. And so what he wants is that even though we may be a color of, say, this red hue or purple or green, whatever it may be, he's not asking you for that green, for your color to change into something else, right? He wants you to shine in the best way possible that you can, because we are all part of the spectrum, right? So what is your perception of happiness? This is the question that I like to raise up again. So let's think about this for a moment. So upon what foundations are we building our happiness on? Deep in the recesses of our minds, right? What do you truly believe in? We learn about all these things about happiness, about, refining our own mind, about enlightenment. And we all know it up here, but when it comes down to here, we get lost at times, right? Lost meaning sometimes there's like this big gap, isn't there? We have all this knowledge and it's hard for our heart to follow. And I think we learned from last week's seminar, Dr. Peel's spiritual message, which is very important and very enlightening, which was, are we subconsciously aware what we are believing in or what we're thinking? And that is such an important point. Subconscious meaning, and from Happy Science terms, it could also mean your brother souls, sister souls, right? do we truly believe in the positivity and the power of our potential? And a lot of us, unfortunately, from the unhappiness syndrome, we can all relate to this. Okay, it's not just you, it's not directed to just one of us, right? But this is everybody. He has 28 habits that causes unhappiness, and I'm pretty sure 5 or 6 of these at least will catch you. And so in last week's seminar, it was all about, being able to convince yourself from the subconscious world to change that negativity into a positive force. And the subconscious power is just so powerful. So on the surface, we may know what is right and what is superficial, and we tend to judge ourselves and negate certain things that we aren't proud of, that we want to bury deep within ourselves, right? But let's keep the judgment aside and confront what we truly think, what we truly believe in, what's going on in here, right? And so what is your real perception of happiness? What you truly believe in here is what oozes out of your pores every day. How you behave, the words you utter, what the action you take, the decisions you make, everything revolves around your belief. So this is where self-reflection comes into place, to truly understand who we are, right? The journey of self-discovery. This is the beginning of journey of self-discovery. And this is what we as members do all the time, is that we are expected to confront ourselves, right? To discover and find out why we do the things that we do. And when we begin to understand that, that leads to enlightenment, and we can correct the course and evolve. And the more we are self-aware, we can also acutely be aware of other people as well, why they suffer or why they are happy, why they are wonderful, right? If y'all know, I like to always refer to Jack Canfield. I love his books because very positive. He has once said, the easiest, fastest, and best way to find out what is or isn't working is to pay attention to the results you are currently producing. So you have to give up the excuses and justifications and come to terms with the results you are producing. The only thing that will change your results is to change your behavior. Don't kid yourself. Be ruthlessly honest with yourself. Take your own inventory. So this is the author or the co-creator of Chicken Soup for the Soul. He published so many of that series along with somebody else. But he really comes down to that part of self-responsibility. Master has once said that, the world outside, you cannot change other people's minds. You cannot control other people's minds, but your mind is sovereign, meaning that you have complete control. Well, you may not have complete control, but you have complete authority over your own mind, right? Whether or not if you can control it is up to us, isn't it? But basically what he's saying is that other people's issues is none of your business. Focus on what we can do here. Once we are able to govern the mind in here, then we are able to, correct the course of our lives. Now, I am beginning to think that this camera is not really working well for us. So let me see if I can change this. Oh, I'll figure that out a little bit later. Okay, so here in this book, Master has once said here, and I wanted to highlight this in the book. He says, people are suffering from what I call the unhappiness syndrome, a condition in which the subconscious mind fosters a desire for unhappiness and manifests self-destructive thoughts and behavior. Put simply, many people are suffering from their own love of unhappiness. He also says, the subconscious desire to be unhappy exerts a natural gravitational pull towards misery and misfortune. So this is so, interesting. He also highlighted in this book as well that, when you ask somebody, are you truly happy? And then many people will say, oh, yeah, I'm happy. I even might say I'm happy. But, what he was saying is that a lot of people are not aware how unhappy they are, you know? So it's really about, you really know who you are. So there's a fine line. You don't want to reconfirm how unhappy you are, but what the point is to understand where is our state of, our current state of mind, and are we able to confront it and overcome it? You know, are we aware of the current vibration that we hold in our mind? Are we aware of which direction our mind is heading? And so this awareness is so important. And so again, I come back to this question again, what do we truly believe, right? Within our minds, are we housing temples to the goddess of misfortune and not the goddess of success? Are we building monuments to the god of poverty and not the god of prosperity? And so Master have also mentioned that as well. What is it that we're holding in here? And so what is important is to decide now, right? Do you want to live a happier life? Do you want to live a happier life? No, maybe. No hands. Nobody wants to live a happier life. Yes, you do, right? You do. Yes. Nod your head. Yes, you do. And if the answer is yes, yes, you came to the right place. This is why we are here, Happy Science. So many people are indecisive, right? If they want to be happy or not. If you ask somebody, you know, are you happy? Do you want to be happy? And then say, well, I do, but, and there's a justification of why they can't be happy. This way of thinking is very passive, right? I want to be happy, but there's a big but. And for these people, it's conditional. Happiness is conditional. I want to succeed, but there are reasons why I can't be. I want to overcome this issue, but there are obstacles. I admit I do say these words sometimes, even to myself, right? I want to achieve this, but so-and-so. And so this conditional but is pretty much negating everything that you want to achieve. Last week, I mentioned about last week's seminar, we talked about the subconscious. We were saying that the subconscious mind is like a wild animal, right? It could only understand the result of what you're saying. So it leaves out the subject. So it says, for example, I don't like that person because he is successful. Your subconscious mind would translate that into, I don't want to be successful because I don't want to be like him, right? Or I am jealous of that person. You have this jealousy. Why is jealousy so bad? It's because it is self-destructive. It negates the very thing that you want to achieve most. You know, it's like this flip side of things. There's like this subconscious work. So this is what we want to sort of fix. And I wouldn't say fix, I'm sorry, that's not the word, but to redirect, to teach and train our mind to really admire successful people. Why are they so successful, right? Not all successful people are cheaters, right? They're not all money laundering, you know, whatever it is. For some reason, such a mentality has taken over our culture. But there are a lot of people who legitimately achieve success and financial freedom and wealth in the right way. And that's through really hard and times and discipline. So for these people, you know, happiness tends to be conditional, but the issue isn't conditional. It's whether or not you decide. Are you committed no matter what, right? It's about commitment. So I want to show you just a short excerpt of Master's lecture from a while back, but I'm trying to translate that in English. It's called the Komyo Tenkai no Riron, the philosophy of positive thinking. I'm sorry. My Japanese and English isn't working correctly right now, but I will, I just like to show. This is about 3 minutes, and it's not voiceover. I do apologize. It's subtitle, but I believe you'll be able to see this.
特に今悩んでいるもの、今まさしく 悩みの中心となっているもの、これは皆さんの人生の問題集が一体何であるかということを教えている。そう聞いていますね。皆さんの人生の問題集を教えているのが現在ただいまの悩み、特に一番深い悩みである。そういうふうにいろんな形で教わっているはずです。さすれば今苦しみの渦中にあると思いきや、自分は今回の人生のこの問題集の中で一番大事な問題に今差し掛かっているんだということですね。一番今回の魂修行にとって意味のある、まさしくそこに差し掛かっているんだ。これは面白い、エキサイティングである。こういう考え方はですね、いよいよリングに登ったわけです。リングに登る前にこうタオルかけていろいろやってたわけですね。シャドーボクシングだな、シュッシュッシュやってたけど、こんなんやったってダメなんです。もういざやっぱりタオル取って赤コーナーって上がらなきゃダメなんです。赤コーナーって上がった時にね、トイレ行きたいなんて思ったらダメなんです。もうその時にはもう戦わざるを得ないんですね。だから今まさしく問題の渦中にあるっていうのは、1ヶ月2ヶ月あるいは半年間タイトルマッチのために練習してきて、ロッキーみたいに練習してきて、そしてやっと今リングに上がったんですね。まさしくこの時のために今回の生があったし、いや今回の生というよりも生まれ変わる前、その前に皆さん何十年か何百年か天上界でないかもしれないけども、どこかで実在界のどこかで修行してこられて、よし今度見ておれ、今度はこういうふうに見事にやるぞと思ってきた。そしたらその助走の部分から見たら少なくとも数百年はかかってます。場合によってはもっとかかってる人もいます。それだけかかってきて練習してトレーニング積んでね、雪山に登り、またソ連の森林の中でね木こりしたりいろんなことして訓練しながら、そしてタイトルマッチに出てきたんです。出てきてリングに上がって何を言っておるかですね。リングにもう上がったらやらねばならんことは分かっておるであろう。相手がいるんですから、もう気にしないでノックアウトです。もうそれしかない。ノックアウトするしかない。ノックアウトする。それが本当は相手が人間だったら痛いけれども、人間じゃなくて皆さんの前に問題と見えている蜃気楼にしか過ぎないんですから、実際はね、問題という形、悩みという形をとって現れている皆さん自身のカルマにしか過ぎないんです。このリングの上での対決は他人との戦いじゃない。皆さん自身のカルマとの対決ですね。これをノックアウトしなきゃいけないんです。これが今世の使命なんですね。
Wonderful. Thank you, Master Roko. So he talked about knocking the opponent, right? And that opponent is never the other person. So don't misunderstand. If you're having an argument with somebody else, don't knock out that person. He's saying you are facing your own karma. That is your tendency. So karma tends to be like this simplistic idea. I think what a lot of people tend to think is that because you've done something bad in your past life, then something bad is happening now. You've done something good in your past life, something good is happening now. Yes, there is a cause and effect to that. But what he is saying is that as long as we are humans living on this earth and reincarnate here as a human being, we all have these tasks, I guess, or challenges in life that we must confront that will inevitably, as an outcome, help improve ourselves. And so it could be certain issues or tendencies that we have that causes these things to happen. So these tendencies so when we encounter such problems, what Master used to once say is that it tends to bring out the things that has been hidden to the surface. And it's almost like, the things that we really had to confront, we have been kind of, pushing it aside up until now, until you cannot escape anymore, right? We get into those situations where we really have to confront ourselves. Do we run away, right? Do we blame the person? Do we blame the situation? Or do we go head on, take that responsibility and say, hey, I must do something, that I must change. What is it that God is telling me that I must work on? So here, Master has said the human beings have been granted full control over one important thing, our mind. We have no control over other people's thoughts. but our mind is the one realm where we can, I'm sorry, typo, wholly, where we, I think there, yeah, definitely a typo. Let's see about this one. I apologize, you guys. But our mind is the one realm where we stand wholly sovereign. The secret to mastering life, therefore, is mastering one's mind. So here we cannot control other people's actions or their minds or how they speak to you. It's really about how we receive it, right? How do we process it? Why does that happen every time you encounter that specific person or specific type of person? So why did I, the reason why I want to show you that video of Master talking about karma is because I want to really focus on tendencies. So our tendencies, our habits. What is this daily habit that we have that we aren't, it's hard to notice, isn't it? We have certain inclinations. This is why we have coaches in sports. A coach or other people, peers, are able to see certain habits, right? There's a certain swing you have in the bat, there's a certain way you jump or run, and they correct the form, right, in order to be better. And so it's really difficult for us to be able to do it. But one thing that the gift that we have is that the power of self-reflection, to be able to see, to view yourself from a third person perspective, even though also trying to be observant and see this other person or the situation, how the person is reacting towards your words or your actions, right? That could be also be a good clue. So in the unhappiness syndrome, he says there are 4 things, checkpoints that you can ask yourself, whether or not if you're happy. And this is more like a roundabout way to sort of find out these negative habits that we may have that we can correct. So there are 4 things. One, he says, do you get up feeling ready to take on a new day and believing that life is wonderful every single day, right? I'm not gonna force you to answer that question. That's with you and yourself, okay? Because we know, I want you to be honest with yourself, right? And if the answer is no to any of these, ask yourself honestly, so why is that? It's like, oh, I'm constantly tired, I feel like a lot of stress at work, there's a lot of responsibility, there's trouble at whatever it is. And then you can try to figure out ways, what can you do to resolve that, right? Number 2 is, do you have a sense of vitality filling every inch of your body and a constant eager itch to work? So according to Master, it doesn't matter how old you are, right? Do you have that vitality? Every day you wake up, it's like, okay, this is the day that was given to me. I'm gonna just conquer this day. Number 3 is, do you have the ability to see the wonderful aspects of everyone around you? So when we are unhappy, we tend to see all the negative things, don't we? All the things that's not enough, all the things that's not quite up to par according to your standards. It could also be a certain boss, colleague, right? Situation, family members, siblings. If we are truly seeing it from the perspective of, as children of Buddha, that this world was created with the best of intentions for soul training, then you will begin to see the wonderful opportunities. You'll begin to see the vibrant colors that everyone is emitting, and just see opportunities, right? So number 4, do you believe that you are here to serve a higher purpose beyond yourself? Now, this is a little bit more difficult and challenging, but basically what he is saying, what he is touching upon is on faith, right? What do we truly believe in? Why are we here? What is the purpose of our life? What do you really believe the reason why you are here? And so this comes down to the idea of mission, right? And the spiritual message from Napoleon Hill, this is through Master Okawa, he did a spiritual reading. And the title of this was called Spiritual Laws for Turning Dreams into Reality. This is what Napoleon Hill's spirit has said. He said, ultimately, a burning desire is a measure of how well you can convey your passion and inspire people with your enthusiasm. And that is in itself governed by the strength of your soul, which I believe is a measure of the depth and magnitude of your enlightenment and the power of your light. Basically, there are people who dislike it when you talk about faith or religion. So I just call it a burning desire because that is a phrase that people in this world would understand. And it is a universal phrase that applies to everyone alive and everyone who wants to work in the world. But it is just another way of saying mission. It is about what you feel your mission is, right? So what is your purpose? Why are you here? Why did you choose the parents that you've chosen? Why did you choose to live a life that you lived up until now? The key moments in your life, the defining moments that had changed the course of your life, those are very key, important moments that I believe in what Master says that you have planned in this lifetime. Of course, there are certain changes, right? But the big key events were planned. And that's planned by you before you were born. So from that perspective, what is your mission, right? So again, we go back to that part of, these questions. It ultimately, these 4 questions, number 1, 2, and 3, all leads up to that purpose, to that part of why are you here, right? If you understand why you're here, then you'll be able to wake up every morning with vitality, right? With positivity, with hope coming through your pores, right? Singing in the shower, making some amazing breakfast and going to work and making people happy, right? And that's the ideal that we want to achieve. So I want to explore this, a self-reflection exercise. We're going to do a short one. And the reason why we do this is one of the basic principles of happy science, the fourfold path. One is love, love of giving, unconditional love. Second one is knowledge of truth and wisdom. And based on that, starting from love, we go into self-reflection and understand how we can correct the course. And then that's when we go to progress. We begin to progress. We begin to expand our abilities in this world. And then in order for us not to be misguided, we go back to love again. So that fourfold path is such an important tool for us to ensure that we are growing and progressing in the right direction. So self-reflection, this is why self-reflection is so important. And as you all know, I'm not sure if you know Elizabeth Kubler-Ross. She is very famous on her book, On Death and Dying. She has said, learn to get in touch with the silence within yourself and know that everything in life has a purpose. She instinctively knew the spiritual truths of, and what is important. So let's find that purpose, right? So let's find your patterns of unhappiness. So what we're going to do is, first, if you're sitting in a chair, if you're sitting in a sofa, try to get up and get onto a harder surface, or a surface where you can keep your back straight and relaxed, right? So if you don't have any shoulder pains or injuries, you could go like this and then squeeze your shoulder blades together towards your spine, bring it down, bring it up again, and make sure it's flat, right? Make sure it's not going forward, flat, back as possible, and then just push it down. Make sure you're breathing, right? And this should, and what this will do is to help the blood flow to your neck and your back, and it would avoid you falling asleep, okay? So make sure your neck, your shoulders, everything is loose, right? And then I'd like you to gently place your hands on your lap with your palms facing upward like this. And then just sort of gently close your eyes. You don't have to close it all the way, but sort of, you don't have to focus on anything that's in front of you, sort of like a blur. But I would like you to focus on your breathing. So breathe in deep through your nose and out through your mouth. And repeat this breathe in, breathing through your nose and out from your mouth. What is important is to focus on each breath. As you breathe in, this oxygen-rich air is flowing through your body. And as you breathe out, all your stress, fatigue, worries, everything is being exhaled through your mouth. I'd like you to count to 10 now as you breathe in and out. Count that as 1. Then the next cycle as 2. Carry on until you can count to 10. Now, while you are in this state, I would like to recite prayer to guardian and guiding spirits so that your guardian and guiding spirits will protect you and guide you through this self-reflection exercise. Prayer to guardian and guiding spirits. My guardian and guiding spirits, deep inside of me, you are the fountain of life, the light of hope, the source of wisdom, and a shield of courage. Every day, may you help me develop my soul and refine my mind. Every day, may you give me inspiration and show me the right path to follow. Please protect me from all evil and guide me in living a better life. For this, I give my thanks. Now, please begin your self-reflection on these 4 points. You may choose to do all of them or just focus on any one that stands out to you. If your answer is no to any of these questions, ask yourself, why not? Discover your reasons. Take mental notes, or you may write them down, on what you can do to resolve these reasons. be prepared to conclude your introspection, self-reflection. I'd like you to breathe in deeply through your nose. And as you breathe out, slowly open your eyes. Wonderful. Okay. Now, if I'm not sure what your findings were, but I tend to see in self-reflection almost like a camera sort of hovering above me and sort of seeing from the moment I wake up to the moment I fall asleep. And yeah, it's quite embarrassing, isn't it? Sometimes I'm not sure about you guys, but I am I have my moments as well. For example, waking up in the morning when you had a pretty long, grueling hours of work, and then it's like, oh, I have to go through this again. And that's the internal voice, right? So as you know, instead of not only speaking through the mouth, the words that you tell yourself internally, that counts as well. What sort of words kind of come up from within? And again, like I said, no judgment, okay? Don't tell yourself how much of a bad person you are. You're not a bad person. Okay. Well, so what we're trying to do is to really observe our tendency and why we do it. And it's not just you that have that tendency. There's what we are learning about is the workings of the mind, right? There's a law that governs the mind that creates these cause and effect. If we're able to understand why we utter those words, or why we do the things that we do, why we say the things that we say, more and more we are able to be more perceptive towards others as well. We become more understanding, right? So instead of being judgy, it's more of discovering, this is why I didn't know this was more like the true reason why we say these things, right? A lot of the things could be, there's various reasons. Since I'm running out of time, I might have to sort of skip that part. But here, I want to show you an excerpt of in this video, beginning from Passion. We had a focus group, right? Not focus group, I'm sorry, a small study group that happened last Tuesday. And I thought this lecture was amazing. It's not 59 minutes. I'm going to show you a short 6-minute or less excerpt from Master. This is voiceover with subtitles. He talks about passion. The reason why this is important is because it has a lot to do with, he tells a story. And I think this might be relevant in how we can overcome our habits of, disappointment maybe. Some of us, I'm not presuming that this is all of us, but some of us, including me, may have this sense of the need of how do we overcome this sense of, I wouldn't say despair, but when we make failures over and over again, there's a sense of, why can't I do this, right? And the lack of hope. And this is something, a story that will be able to encourage us to break through this. So here is an excerpt.
最近読んだ本
Recently, I read the following story in a book.
話が
Oops,
載って
I'm sorry.
最近読んだ本
Recently, I read the following story in a book.
話が載っ
Where's the
てお
audio?
りました。
Is everyone hearing this online? I'm not sure. You are? Okay, we're not hearing it for some reason. What was that?
Recently, I read the following story in a book.
話が載っておりました。 悪魔が
A devil was selling his tools as he was closing down his store.
じまいをしようとして、店じまいをしようとして、自分の商売道具を売りに出したという話なんですね。お客様が来て、
Then a customer came in and looked at the tools on sale.
その道具をいろいろ見ているわけだけれども、そこで
There were many tools,
例えば嫉妬心とか
such as jealousy, suspicion, worries about the future, and worldly desires.
あるいは欲望だとか、このような
Many tools that the devil had used to make his way into people's minds were being sold.
道具ですね。そういうものをいっぱい売りに出してある。その中で
Among them was one thing that had a very high price
値
tag.
段がついているものが道具があったというのです。その道具はくさび
It
型を
was
して
shaped like a wedge and was quite worn out.
使い込んだ形跡があった。高い値段をしている。これは一
What
体
is
何
this?
ですか
The customer asked.
さんが聞いた。そうすると
The devil answered with a smile.
ニコニコと笑いながらこう答えた。これが失望。
This is what is called despair.
どんな
No matter how resilient a person may be against any
失望とい
temptation,
う名のくさびを
once this wedge called despair is driven into their mind, anything can enter it.
なかなか話せなかった。
This was so handy, I couldn't let go of it. That's why it's expensive.
こういうふうに悪魔が語ったという。
I read such a story.
なるほどと
I。found a truth in this story.
誘惑に強い方は
Many of you may be able to firmly resist temptation.
精進している人た
Many
ち
seekers of truth probably have an indomitable resolve
そして
to protect themselves from various temptations and to carry out spiritual discipline.
しかし悪魔は言うそうです。失望という名のくさびを
But a devil says all he needs to do is drive in a wedge called despair.
あと猜疑心であろうが疑いであろうが嫉妬心
Once a hole is made in the mind, anything can make its way in, be it suspicion, jealousy,
名誉欲でも入り込める
desire for money, fame, and other things, and he can ruin the person's life.
私たちは
We definitely can't be defeated after hearing this story.
負けるわけにはいかないです。失望というの
If despair is the best tool that devils and evil spirits use to sneak into our
一番
minds,
私たちを狙っている道具であるとするならば、これに対
we
して
must strengthen our defense
守りを
against
固めね
it.
ばなりません。電動機に入って
When you give a book of truth to a friend,
ところが
he might throw it back at you saying, I can't read this garbage.
それで失望して
But if you go home in despair, a devil is laughing behind your back.
悪魔が笑っていると思わねばならない。しめしめ
He snickers and says to himself, Good, I managed to wedge one in.
何でもこの
I can now control this person in any way I want.
あとは自由にできるぞと
Anything or any word can enter this person's mind.
負けてはなり
So you mustn't be defeated.
失望との
The
戦い
battle
こそ
against despair is the most important while doing missionary work.
一番大事なことであるのです。では
Then, how can you avoid falling into despair and keep on conveying the truth?
やっていけるのだろうか。私は
I believe the only way is to have passion.
現代であるところのこの情熱、これしかない
The theme of today's lecture.
と思います。失望というの
What
の
drives out the wedge named despair is
な
passion.
き払うのは情熱です。そうだと思
I
いま
believe
す。
so.
この情熱があればこ
With
そ
passion, you can force out the wedge even if it is driven into your mind.
失望というくさびを打ち込まれてもこれを弾き返す力が出てくるのだと思うのです。では
So, where does this passion arise from?
一体どこから生まれてくるのでしょうか。私は
I believe the source of passion, or its biggest fountain, is faith.
最も大きな泉は信仰心だと思います。神を信ずる
It is the
力
power to believe in God.
信ずる力が強ければ
The
強い
greater this power of belief, the more passion wells up from within you.
溢れてくるのです。それは
It is not a matter of mere words.
問題ではありません。事実
This is the truth.
あるのです。 信仰と
To
は
put it differently, faith is to desire and pray.
神よ
God,
私たち
we
は
want to fulfill our
自
mission.
らの
We want to
使
be
命
of
を
service to you.
果たしたいのです。お役に立ちたいのです。神よあなたの
God, we
手
want
足
to
となり
realize utopia as your
ユートピア
servants.
実現のためにやりたいのです。どうぞ私に
May
お
you
力を
help
お貸
us.
しくださいということでもあるのです。その
God, who is your parents, will surely respond to this call.
ないのです。その時に
At that time, your body will heat up and you will be filled with power.
力が満ちてくるのです。もうこれで最
Just
後
when
だ
you
と
think you
思っ
can't
た
go any further,
ふつふつと湧き上がって
you'll find something powerfully welling up from within.
Thank you. So now learning from that, I'd like you to sort of review this one more time. You don't have to be meditating, but you could sort of think through, take mental notes. I'll give you maybe about 60 seconds. Okay. Wonderful. Thank you. So I know this is a lot. There's I can go as as deep as we can go with this subject. But I thought I'd, cover all bases because we are, I'm sure we all have different challenges in the current part of our life. So wanted to take this opportunity for a quick discussion. Maybe you can, share some discoveries if you can. If not, it's okay, you can listen. Since it's a smaller group, should we all kind of go into one group then? Maybe that's better. Yeah? Yeah, okay. So we'll take a short time. So whatever that you share, maybe, try to keep it as brief as possible. Maybe we'll take about 7 minutes. Yeah. And then after that, we'll close after this. So any questions online? Or any insights, confusion, or discoveries you'd like to share? Doesn't have to be through voice, but it could be typed, or yeah, you could also unmute your mic and let me know. If no one wants to share, that's fine too. We respect your preference. So FYI, the discussion will end in 5 minutes. So if you want to hang out and just take a break, get a coffee break or tea break, that's great too. We don't have many slides after this, but we'll wrap it up pretty soon. Great, thank you, Ali.
first time I listened to it, that was here. We the Bible, falling sick. That is the most easiest to getting to your name, Lord. See, when you were doing it, sometimes because you're putting expectation in your mind. So if you don't get it, easily wrong. Not always a good result. Yeah, the witness to what do you think? You're smiling.
Thank you, Miwa-san. See you next time.
Where did I the answer for myself was when I was working. Very true. Every morning when I oh, do this.
What's a passion when do anything else?
Yeah.
Yes. Interesting. So your mission was to work. Actually, work is fun. So it's really like a more people mission. Really nice.
So, but once I started living a easy life. When you the very strong purpose. Things about it, little things that happens every day. Start taking on paradigm. I would say disappear. The drive that you have. So
We got maybe 1 or 2 minutes. Is that okay? We could maybe, yeah.
start, I want to feel that really like, because I think I have passion yeah, then something hard, maybe something, distraction is coming within. Yeah, I'm the one who stop it all the time. So small detail, I have to fix it. So, I just read a little bit and I watch it. First, I want to decide on yes. I've grown up for more than he's more than probably 30 years, and it doesn't arrive yet. I feel like I'm always sick. Mentally up, and I feel like I'm always sick. My skin is itchy or whatever it is. I'm always waiting for it. I have to decide the time has to be now. So I have to be later next year and I have to decide tomorrow. How long is that for my treatment? Right, I have to do that too. So I, even going to step out only step and I'm writing, but then I stop. So the reason is probably I have to like it really much. Product that I produce is not like only the writing, not like what I learned, not only like what I learned. I really have to inspire people, and those essence are missing. So it's so the those are short. You can inspire something is not. I mean, friends in the Facebook, so I
All right, guys, sorry, I hate to cut this short, but yeah, I know with every discussion, there's a momentum and it's hard to stop. That's great. No, I was sort of eavesdropping what was being discussed. It's some beautiful moments there too. Thank you for sharing, everybody. One person was saying about rediscovering his passion after retirement. And then what you were saying too is being able to find just a deciding now, right? Deciding, not waiting for it to happen, but deciding. And I think those are great discoveries. To close this off, I wanted to share a few quotes too. I know I want to stay away from putting huge amount of text on the screen, but I thought this was very important to share rather than me just reading it from a book and you trying to listen. I thought print would be better. So again, this is from Jack Canfield. He says, I believe each of us is born with a life purpose. Identifying, acknowledging, and honoring this purpose is perhaps the most important action successful people take. They take the time to understand what they're here to do, and then they pursue that with passion and enthusiasm. Master Okawa lived in the age of the torch within Jitomyo no Jidai Ukiyo. He says, from now, I would like you to rely not on external standards, but on your own internal standard. And even this internal standard may contain various false versions of yourself, including thoughts of vanity, pride, the desire to be seen, good, and so on. So it is necessary to remove these and possess an accurate mind standard. In religion, this is what is known as Buddha nature or divinity. You have to meditate, concentrate your mind, draw out your internal Buddha nature, and then inquire of your Buddha nature, is this truly an ache from deep within my soul? So what he means by ache is like, is this really what I want to do, right? Whether studying, playing, working, or building relationships, you have to always keep re-asking your Buddha nature, and inner self. So keep asking yourself. So, even after retirement, I think what he means is by really asking yourself the question, or even in between jobs, really asking yourself, or even what we're doing right now, which I often do lately, is this really, what I meant to do? And when our Buddha nature begins to quiver in excitement and belief that, yes, I can really connect with El Cantare and emanate this light that I have through the work I do so that other people can really experience that version of him, right? Basically, that's what we're doing. In any profession that we do, in any role that we have, we're basically exercising the light that we have through the actions that we can produce, right? And it could be anything. It could be through art. It could be through even just administrative. And administrative, we contact with many different people within the company, right? And even in that interaction, that's where we can find ways to communicate with them. How do we interact with them to inspire them? How can this be translated into excitement, right? It's not just pushing paper. It's really about creating these bridges between people. And so the bridges that we connect, that we create and connect with other people, that is a chance of providing that light. And that is what we call love, right? To really expand this network of love far beyond ourselves. And so, again, back to Jack, he says, Mr. Canfield, when you truly are on purpose, the people, resources, and opportunities you need naturally gravitate toward you. The world benefits too, because when you act in alignment with your true life purpose, all of your actions automatically serve others. What does he mean by all of your actions automatically serve others? That means in Japanese, riji sokurita, right? When you benefit yourself, you benefit others. When you truly exert your light as a child of Buddha, and you truly are experiencing this happiness of growth and really amplifying God's El Cantare's light in this purest form as you are able to, you are naturally also inspiring other people without even knowing it, right? And so this is what it means by really questioning your Buddha nature, living every day with excitement, living with passion, finding your passion, right? And so this is where I wanted to land for today's talk on the unhappiness syndrome. When we discover that we're not quite happy by asking those 4 questions, then we should ask ourselves, well, why not? Why can't I be excited in the day? And then it's easy to fix it. He says to write it down, write down those whys. Master says, your results don't lie, right? There is enlightenment in results. And what he means by that is that always understanding what is coming out of those results in the cause and effect kind of manner. So he says there's no model answer as to how you should live your life. That is because life is a series of questions, and each of these questions differs depending on the circumstances you are in, the experiences and knowledge you have gained, and the habits you have acquired. You yourself are the one who must solve these questions, not someone else. You are the one straying off the path. Who in the world will correct your course if not you? That is why each and every person must explore even deeper what is right within the framework of his or her own life. So that is it. Your life is unique to you. And that is why you should really, if it was designed by God and decided by you, might as well go for it, right? Do the best you can. And live the second life or third life or fourth life. While we have time on earth, we have that chance. So that is all that I like to talk about today. So thank you very much. Yes, thank you. Thank you all. Yoko-san, thank you for coming all the way from